Um, This is an unusual night. We've got some business to take care of. Before we do that, we always start all of our meetings with a prayer or an invocation. That invocation is usually given by some member of the clergy of our community. And whether or not you want to participate in the invocation tonight has no bearing on the business that you've come here to conduct. We open this meeting with an invocation, and anybody that would like to have an invocation is welcome to do it. All you have to do is call our office, and it's a non-denominational invocation. So with that, I'd like for us all to rise. I'm going to ask the pledge first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing. Ronnie, one of our members of our Board of Works will give the invocation.
Thank you. Let's pray together. Father, we're grateful today. We appreciate your blessings on Connorsville. We ask, Lord, that we not be presumptuous in what we expect of you. But we do know that it's your goodness and your greatness to us that makes us what we are. We ask that you'll bless this council tonight, give us wisdom, knowledge to use it, knowledge and wisdom to use it, we pray. Let's ask your blessing and your greatness in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I'm taking them right here.
To hold the official meeting together. We're grateful tonight for meeting with the Board of Works, and those Board of Works members, if you'll just stand up here, hold up your hand, please. The Board of Works. Should be 4 of us here. 1 is missing tonight. You want to do roll call?
No.
Okay. City council members, all 7 are present tonight. If you'll hold your hands up. All 7 council people. That's you too, Tom. And then we have the redevelopment commission over here to my right. And if you guys will hold your hands up, and gals. So everybody's present. We have 1 Board of Works person missing, so we actually have a quorum and we can do business in all areas. At this point, I'm going to ask that you turn off your cell phone ringers. I always have to check mine. And I'll introduce to you Rick Hall. Rick is a member of the Barnes and Thornburg firm, and he works with John Baker, and they have put all the legal things that we have to work on tonight together. So Rick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'm excited, very excited to be here this evening. After years of effort and on behalf of the mayor and many of you in this room, we believe we've worked out a good deal with a company that's going to come in and occupy and operate the Visteon facility, the Carbon Motors facility. And it's Wayzata is the name of the company. They're out of Minnesota and manufacture cabinets and related projects. And they've, as you know, from a purchase agreement that's been circulated to you, to the Board of Works and to the council, they would occupy the facility, and they would agree to provide up to 309 jobs, a minimum of 309 jobs by the year 2018, within 5 years. They would also invest, they estimate, approximately $12 million in real estate improvements and machinery and equipment in the facility, so it would be a strong reuse of the facility that would really provide great opportunities for the citizens of Connorsville. So, Mayor, I don't know if you want to add anything. You've had dealings with the company. You have any thoughts? Or
I think that we're not going to talk a lot about the company because there's due diligence period built into this purchase agreement. They have time to work on the building to see if the building fits their needs. And it would be unfair to jump the gun and to say this is a done deal. This is a step in that direction, and it's a step that hasn't come easy. It's been a long, hard job to get here. And I would like to, at this time, introduce Jay. And Jay, could you kind of reiterate why we're doing it this way and why we're being so careful? If you'll just step up a minute. Jay is the site consultant that's responsible for bringing the company to us. He's very well respected in the state of Indiana. He owns his own company, and he and his wife work together. And
outside of Indiana, nobody respects me. As the mayor said, my name is Jay Walters. I work with a company called Fairwinds Advisors. We're a site selection firm based in Indianapolis. We do work all over the United States. We've been working with Wayzata for about 6 months now on a multi-state search for a new site for their manufacturing operations. About April, came interested in the facility that was here in Connersville. All the principals of the company have visited. And despite the condition of the building, they weren't scared off. They were very impressed with not just the potential for that building, but with the leaders and the folks they've met here in Connersville, as well as some other companies they talked to who are already doing business here. So, as the mayor said, this is the first step in the process. So they've got some due diligence, make sure that building will work, make sure that construction costs aren't going to be too overwhelming. But this is it's not a startup company. It's a well-financed company, so hopefully we'll be able to tell you a lot more information as we move forward. Be ready for a big announcement here in a couple, 3 months, if all goes well. I can answer any questions, but really, I've pretty much told you everything I know.
any questions for Jay?
Thanks.
Okay, then you'll lead us through what we need to do tonight.
Sure. As the mayor mentioned and Jay alluded to, there is a due diligence period where the company is going to have some time to gain all the understanding that it needs with respect to the building so that it can make a formal decision. But what you have before you, the Board of Works and the council, is a proposed form of agreement that would provide for the transfer of the building, and then also their job commitment, and the city would provide TIF as an incentive as well from their new investment. Again, assuming this all works out with the due diligence period. Mayor, we have Gary Malone is here as well too.
When we get to the TIF, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
What we need to do, Rick, is they have a clean copy, and then they have the copy with the blue line. You made a revision after I sent the copy out, so just the Board of Works at this point.
Okay.
This is your business. We have Resolution 2013-29. On top, you'll see a clean copy with no blue lines. And on the bottom, you've got some blue lines. Will you explain the blue line? Okay, you'll have it in just a minute.
That's just for you, Fran.
Just the Board of Works only. Will you explain why we changed the last two whereases just before the number one?
Sure. The resolution that was circulated to you initially approved the purchase and sale agreement, authorized the mayor and the clerk treasurer to sign that agreement, and then also take what other actions are necessary to implement the agreement. One other step we wanted to take at this time was to allow the city to transfer the property to the redevelopment commission, which would be necessary in order to implement the full transaction, again, if we get through this due diligence period. So these two whereas clauses just reference that. You're authorizing that approval, authorizing that transfer from the city to the redevelopment commission. And then that change is also in section 2. It describes how to provide for the implementation of the agreement. You'd approve the transfer of title to the city, and then Also, in the next paragraph, it just also allows for the negotiation and execution of a access agreement. So during this inspection period, the company's gonna wanna have the ability to come into the facility, and we wanna be able to work out an agreement that allows them to do that, so that just authorizes that agreement as well. So those are the only changes to the former resolution. And I don't know if the council has their new resolution yet, but you'll see those, when you do, that those same changes are included in yours.
Okay, Board of Works, you've had this since last Saturday. I wanted to get it to you by Friday, but the attorneys didn't quite get it to me. And you've had it since Saturday. What's your pleasure? Questions for Rick or anybody else?
So I have a question. In the fifth whereas, Rick, it talks about the city to the company, the provision of certain other incentives by the city to the company. Can you elaborate on that, or just what does that mean?
Well, the incentive, the primary incentive, other than the building itself, is the TIF incentive.
Okay.
And the city is agreeing to capture the tax revenues from their new investment in the building, and then allowing them to use those tax revenues to finance investment in the building, be it building improvements or equipment. So that is the main incentive.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I was wondering what that meant.
While we're
Thank
on
you.
that point, we might ask Gary to come forth because he can tell the redevelopment board, council, and Board of Works exactly how that incentive is gonna work.
Sure. I'd be happy to. My name is Gary Malone. Excuse me, I'm a CPA and a partner with Dunbar and Associates. We've compiled some information, estimating what the TIF revenues might be, how much that might support in bonds with respect to this project. As Rick mentioned, the project would involve an investment of about $12 million. There's also a value of about $4 million that's currently there, but since it's owned by the city, it's not in the tax base per se. So the thought would be that we'd be able to capture the taxes that come from the $4 million that's currently in place, the $4 million value of the building, plus the $12 million incentive, and use that as a revenue stream to support a bond. And we call that a TIF bond, and it stands for tax increment financing. So based upon the information that the company has provided to us, we've made some calculations to estimate what those revenues might be. Now, until everything is finished and the investment is done, we really aren't going to know what that investment's going to be or how that's going to be taxed. So we have to make some assumptions today to estimate what that might be. And according to our calculations, we've estimated that may produce revenues in the neighborhood of about $4.8 million over the next 20 years. So it'll be a significant amount of revenues that could be produced, and that's both from real property taxes and personal property taxes. And so the thought is we would capture both the new real property taxes from the building and the personal property taxes from the equipment and use that to support a bond issue. So we've calculated that could support a bond in the amount of up to $4,650,000, and that's assuming that bond paid no interest. If it becomes necessary to pay interest, then the amount of that bond will become less, but that it would support up to a $4,650,000 bond with no interest. Now, these types of bonds are very difficult to market, so the thought would be that we would be asking the company to purchase that bond. So they would bear the risk if those revenues would be there. There would be no risk or no further obligations on behalf of the city. The city's only obligation is to make available the TIF revenues with which to make that payment. But the bonds would be held by the company, so if those revenues weren't there, it would be the company that would experience the shortfall and not the city. So in a nutshell, that's what the incentive is.
The difference here is very important. When we did this TIF on behalf of Carbon Motors, the city guaranteed the bonds. We're not doing that. The city is not guaranteeing the bonds. The bonds will be guaranteed by the company. And so that's why the incentive is so much better. And when Fran brought the idea of the TIF, now of course you got to realize they use that money to make the building better or buy equipment. They can use it to pay back their money, because that's what tax increment financing is. It's an incentive that the state of Indiana gives cities, towns, and counties to get people to come there. So that's our incentive package, and basically that's the only incentive package that we promised. with the exception, we did say in the agreement that we would do any other incentives that, for instance, the state might do, we would encourage those or help get those, or some other entity would help get, that we would help them get those. But personally, or the city itself, will not be giving any other incentives. Okay, except for any questions for Gary, everybody kind of, sometimes that's a little complicated.
Sir, if they would go for tax abatements on equipment, would that have an effect on that?
There is no-
That's not our understanding, but if there would be any type of tax abatement, that would reduce the amount of revenue, but since they would own the bond, any revenue reduction would be at their risk, not the city's
I see,
risk.
thanks.
That's a good question.
Thanks, Gary, we might have a question or two here when we get down the line a little further. All right, Board of Works only, I need to resolve this resolution number 2013-29. Any questions? Okay, I'm ready for a motion then to accept or reject.
Your Honor, I have read the purchase and sale agreement, and make a motion that we proceed with resolution number 2013-29, approving a purchase and sale agreement with Lazenta Connersville RE LLC and certain other matters in connection therewith.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second from the Board of Works on this resolution 2013-29. I think Board of Works member explained it very well when he made the motion. Are there any further questions? Any questions from anybody in the room? Not appearing. We'll have a roll call vote.
Fran Chomel,
Yes.
Leonard Urban,
Yes.
Mike Bishop,
Yes.
Ron Coldiron,
Yes.
Okay. You have approved resolution 2013-29. Board of Works. We would like now to go to the same resolution with the City Council. Rick, if you'll come to the podium again. I'll open this up for discussion with the City Council. We have 7 members. They're all sitting right here together. And one is, oh, we're all here, all 7. Gary's over here. And Fran. Any questions on the resolution through the city, which would be resolution 2013-20?
I did have one question. In the purchase agreement, it talked about having contracts with other entities. I thought we already had a contract with SAPA for use of some of that space up there. How would that affect that?
It's a good question, and you go ahead with it.
Well, they would have I'm not sure about the details of that other agreement, but this company would have exclusive use of the facility, the entire facility, so.
We have discussed that with the company, and the company is anxious to talk with SAPA right at the start. They will not be using the whole building, and they will probably be interested in maybe portions of that being used. And our agreement with SAPA is so written, Mr. Baker, we have 30 days in and out. Is that?
Or if the unit is sold, then the lease will terminate.
Yeah. But that's not what the company is telling me. We're talking about probably maybe even leasing a little more space to them. In fact, there's been some negotiation. It's not our lot in life to try to hurt SAPA. We want them to be good neighbors up there. Any other questions?
I was wondering about Tetra Tech. They're the environmental folks. In number 1.33, Tetra Tech's approval means the purchaser's delivery to the seller of a written work plan and seller's prompt approval of same. So the approval comes from the
Yeah,
company?
Tetra Tech is the consultant that's working on the remediation
Right.
program. So to the extent that there is certain things that the company wants to do with respect to the building, anything that would be like invasive into the ground or something like that, they would have to get Tetra Tech's approval just to make sure that it would not interfere with the remediation program that's in place. So built into this agreement are provisions to make sure that that the company and the city work together to make sure that the remediation plan that's in effect gets implemented. So that's what that refers to.
Can you comment on the remediation plan, how it's being financed? It's a grant from the state? Did we get money from the state?
It's a loan from the brownfields of the state of Indiana.
Okay,
That's right.
so it's not really tax money that's being used, is that right?
Well, it was sewer utility revenues that were pledged to repay that loan.
Okay,
Yeah.
We have gone after grants and received two, and we are going to continue to go after grants to continue that. Really, that remediation will not change. It'll go on just like it is now. The remediation will be what the city has to do, and we'll be receiving our reports. And even today, if we were gonna cut a hole in the floor, or if we were gonna do anything, we would have to work with Tetra Tech and IDEM before we could do it. And basically what the sales agreement says, that we're gonna continue that. If they would cut a hole in the floor or decide they wanna do something, we would go to Tetra Tech, be sure that it doesn't interfere with the remediation, and move on with it in that same way.
But the steps the city took several years ago to get that remediation fund fully funded and the program worked out are now putting it in a position where the building is marketable and can be used by somebody, as opposed to just a deteriorating environmental eyesore.
Other
Mr.
questions?
Mayor?
Yes.
If I may, I had asked the mayor a couple of questions this afternoon. He answered them for me. I would like for him to advise council. One of them was when I'd asked you in regard to the air quality check we've been doing. Could you remind
Well,
council of that?
we've been doing air quality check about every 6 months. Report to IDEM. Julie and I have been getting a report every 6 months. The air quality is not kindergarten or where you could have a day of care in there, but the air quality is all right for workers. It's all right for industry at this point. That air quality will be continually checked. That's part of our agreement with Tetra Tech. That's built right into the agreement that we have and the money that we have. And so that air quality will be continually checked. And the building today, as you know, we've been working in there and we had carbon motors in there. It has been ruled safe to work in.
The other question, if you would, for council's benefit, because I wasn't clear on it, you explained it to me, on in the event if this new company does not produce X number of jobs and so forth. Could you elaborate on that, Your Honor, on the process?
As you know, we're giving the building to them in lieu of jobs.
Right.
And we have a exhibit in the agreement, you could see it in there, that if you would say, let's just say we go halfway through the agreement and they haven't produced the jobs, based on $4 million, they would owe the city an amount of money if they packed up and left. They have a grant or guarantee, or say it for me. Guarantee in there, and tell us how that works. We talked about it, I think, this afternoon.
Yeah, so that in addition to the company that is a party to this agreement, which is just set up for this project, their affiliated company is agreed to guarantee that obligation, so that if they didn't produce the jobs, not only would you be able to look to them, but also to their affiliated entity.
Thank you.
I think to all of you computer, real smart people, you'll go home tonight and look at Wyzetta, and you'll see that it was formed in Delaware 2 months ago. That's been thrown at me. Yes, it has. It was formed for this purpose. It's called Wyzetta Real Estate, Connersville, Indiana, because it was formed for this purpose. Any of us would do the same thing forming a new company. But as Rick just explained to you, they're guaranteeing the money with another company. So we're pretty safe.
So I have one more about the remediation thing. It talks about $2 million in insurance in a couple of places, top of page 13. It says seller shall obtain or cause Tetra Tech to obtain the insurance. Page 13, top part.
Yeah, this is, to protect them against, it's to make sure that they get added to our insurance policy since they'll be in the building, so that they can be covered as well. So that's up to
Okay.
$2 million, not less than $2 million.
Okay.
So we have policies in this regard, but we would be adding them as an additional insurance.
So we have a $2 million policy now.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, thanks.
I would ask if there's any further questions before we consider this resolution. Okay. Anybody out there have any questions or comments to the council before we consider this resolution? Sidney Zemke, State Representative, if you'll stand and come to the podium. You're used to that, Cindy.
I'm delighted to be here,
Delighted to have you.
and I wanted to let you know that I did put a call in to IEDC to ask for support for this project, wherever you may need. And again, I'm kind of unfamiliar with everything you're trying to do, but when I talked to them, and I had told you, I think, when I met with the governor during session, I said, he has my priorities, and I said, you gotta help Connersville. He promised me he is. He promised me that. But when I talked to Indiana Economic Development Commission, and I said, this was my priority in my district, and they said, I'm going to call them back tomorrow and give them an update on this. I don't know what help you're looking for from them, but I certainly will be a conduit to help you push that through with them. I don't know the needs of this particular deal.
We have been working with them, and we've already negotiated a deal. There'll be tax credits for training.
Right.
And we've already worked that out. They've assigned a person to it, and we've been moving along. Jay's been on top of that.
Yeah,
Very, yeah.
Yeah, the gentleman I spoke to on the way up here was Eric Shields, and I had just said, being, the representative, I wanted to make certain that you all were getting the cooperation, everything we could do.
We certainly are, but if we don't, we'll call you.
That's what I'm there for, Mayor.
Okay.
And, yeah, this is my first visit this week. I'll be back a few more times. I look
You'll
forward.
be here Friday.
Yes, I
We're
will.
gonna have lunch with me.
Yes, I am. Yes, and I'm
You're gonna have
delighted,
lunch with all of these people.
I'm
Not these
delighted.
over here, but these over here.
I'm delighted to be here, and again, always to help with whatever I can help with up at the state level, so, yeah, you know to call.
Okay. Cindy is a great representative. She is the one that carried our bicentennial through the state legislature and got the endorsement of the legislature, both Senate and the House. So Cindy, we're always grateful. And your husband you didn't introduce.
I'm sorry, my husband Tim Zemke.
And she should have put in a little plug. She has the best chicken in eastern Indiana down in a little town called,
Oldenburg,
and what's the name of the place?
the Brow House.
You always gotta get that in because we're on TV. We'll mention pizza later. Okay, council, you've had this since Saturday. I think I've talked to most of you personally. I know it's a lot to digest. We've been trying to digest it for about 3 months, so it's been worked out by experts, John Baker, Rick Hall, Don Williams. We've had the attorneys on the other side. They've been very easy to work with. At one point, we spent 3.5 hours in conference with them and worked out a lot of details. President of the Economic Development Group is here tonight. Dr. Hodges, did you have any comments before the council considers this? Council, it's in your hands.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would like to comment if I may.
Yes.
I spent about half an hour this afternoon, Mr. Mayor, and I had a few questions regarding this, and he answered them very well. If you will accept a motion,
We will.
I would like to make a motion, we pass resolution 2013-20.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor, and we have a second to pass resolution 2013-20. This is a resolution that involves this sale of this building in the terms that we've been discussing over the last half hour. You've heard most of the discussion. Is there any further discussion? If you're ready for the question, we'll have a roll call vote.
Councilman Weber?
Yes.
Councilman Shomel?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rish?
Yes.
Councilman Nabi?
Yes.
Councilwoman Montgomery?
Yes.
Councilman Creech?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stevens?
Yes.
You have voted unanimously to accept Resolution 2013 in that version, and I think you've made a great decision tonight. I would ask if you would to pass down your purchase agreements. We're going to give you a clean copy tonight, where the blue line won't be in there. Rick, or either Rick or Melissa's gonna make it. You'll see that that's done before you leave.
Yes.
Mayor, you want this back?
The purchase agreements, please, all of you. Just the purchase agreement. Here's in it, you can bring it in, we'd like to give you a clean copy. Okay.
You're your teacher.
I want everybody to have a clean copy because it becomes a public record now that you adopted it. At this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to the redevelopment commission. And as you know, each year we appoint a redevelopment commission the first meeting of the year. I appointed them this year, and the council had a couple of vacancies, and they appointed 2 new members, and we'll take care of that in just a minute. But they have not had a meeting because we didn't have any business. So at this point, I'm going to give the gavel to the president for 2012, who can reorganize and elect officers. So Mr. Kowalski, I'll put you in charge.
Right. I guess we are in order. We need to, first of all, select a president, followed by a vice president and a secretary. So I need a nomination for president.
I nominate Joe Glowacki.
I second that.
Okay, we have, how do I do this? I've been nominated. Can you handle that, Mayor, or do I do that?
You've been nominated. Ask if there's any further nominations.
I guess, well, but I've never done it when I was nominated myself, so. Do any other nominations? If not, do I hear a motion to accept the recommendation?
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we'll continue then. Now we need a vice president. Do I hear a nomination for vice president?
I nominate Carol Hunter.
A second.
Okay. Any other nominations? If not, a motion to accept Carol by acclamation.
I nominate.
Okay.
Aye.
Congratulations, Carol.
2/3, Joe.
Now we need a secretary. And what the secretary will do is primarily, Rick, if I'm correct, is signing documents, is that correct?
That's right. Usually the president will sign contracts and things of that nature, and the secretary will have to attest to that as well.
Okay. So we need a secretary. Must be one of you 3.
I will nominate Gerald Holmes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Gerald, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so there we go. We also then need to appoint need to appoint Julie as our treasurer. Do I hear a motion to appoint Julie as our treasurer?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Julie. You needed something else to do. And we need to appoint our legal counsel. Before it was John Baker, and of course Rick Hall. And I need a motion to do that. Tom?
Second.
Okay, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's done.
Well, you got one more thing. You need a school board member, and I've got one here for you tonight. Warren Taylor, do you want to come up front, please?
Warren Taylor's gonna,
The law
okay.
requires a school board member to be on your redevelopment commission. However, he doesn't get to vote. He's just here to watch you. And originally, that was Ralph.
Ralph
And,
Burchett.
Ralph was not able to be here tonight, and he's asked Warren Taylor to come down, and I don't know how you're gonna do it. Are you both gonna, are you gonna take turns, or are you gonna be the point man?
What do you think, Russ?
I'll
I'll be the point man unless there's any objections.
That's your board right there.
Okay, I'll be the point man unless there are any objections.
No. Do we need a motion to
Yes,
to
you
do
do.
that?
You have to
Okay.
put him in
I make a
place.
motion that Warren be our representative on the school board.
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Warren.
Thanks.
Thanks, Warren.
Even though you don't get to vote.
Pays not very good either.
No, the pay's not very good either, Warren.
Be just like at home.
Yeah.
Do you have resolutions for those?
Melissa, they have their resolutions?
No, these are it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Huh?
This is for the redevelopment, I guess.
Got a whole packet?
There's two separate
There's two
resolutions.
separate.
There are two separate ones. Oh, one, which ones you got?
I got one and two. What do you got?
Here's oh, one. Here's oh, one.
You want to know who?
I have a note, I do not have a note two. There's an oh, two. There's oh, two, okay. All right, Rick, guide us through this.
Okay, well, the redevelopment commission, it has a major role in implementation of the agreement. Because the redevelopment commission is the body of the city charged with administering TIF. So back when Carbon Motors first came to town, the redevelopment commission established an economic development area and a TIF allocation area that consisted of the Carbon Motors site. Because now the building will be used, assuming all goes well, by Wayzata, you have before you a resolution that accomplishes several amendments related to the new project. First, it amends the name of the area.
Hold on, Rick.
Yeah.
Our school board member doesn't have a copy of the resolution. It's bad enough he can't vote, but we don't even let him read the resolution.
He's supposed to be watching, it'd be nice to know he's watching.
Is this it?
Yeah, so this, what this first resolution that you have before you does is it amends this area to change the name from the from the Carbon Motors Economic Development Area and the Carbon Motors allocation area to the Wayzata Economic Development Area and Wayzata allocation area. It also designates the company or any of its affiliates or tenants as a taxpayer from whom personal property TIF can be captured. Whenever you create a TIF allocation area, the real estate taxes that come from the increase in assessed value as a result of new investment automatically get captured. But if you're going to capture personal property taxes, which we are in this instance, you have to by name specify the taxpayer from whom you're going to capture the personal property taxes as well. So in section 12 of this resolution is where it makes the findings that are necessary to designate Wayzata as a taxpayer from whom you can capture personal property TIF. That is really the sum and substance of this resolution. Each of the numbered paragraphs make certain statutorily required findings to amend the name of the area, designate the taxpayer, and then also amend the economic development plan for the area to provide for this new project, which is described on Exhibit A. I would be happy to answer any questions. I can tell you the process for accomplishment of these amendments is a four-step process. From here, if you pass this resolution, it would go before the Plan Commission. They would have to find that this new project is consistent with the plan of development for the city, which of course it is. We're not changing the use of that facility in any way other than in a very productive one. It would then come back here before the city council for their approval, and then it would come back before the redevelopment commission for a public hearing and final approval.
So what we need to do now is, if the commission wishes, is to adopt this resolution. Need a motion and a second.
I move we adopt.
Second.
Who's second? Terry?
Terry.
Okay. Any questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And 1301 is adopted then.
Okay, the second resolution before you commences a process that would allow for the transfer of the property to the company as the mayor described. We talked about earlier, when the Board of Works and the city approved their resolutions approving the purchase agreement, they also authorized the transfer of the site to the redevelopment commission. The redevelopment commission then would proceed through a process that would allow transfer of title at closing to the company. And this resolution begins that process by doing several things. First, it approves the transfer from the city to the redevelopment commission in paragraph 1. And then in paragraph 2, the city has prepared appraisals for the property, and you accept those appraisals, which come out to approximately $4 million. Is that right, John?
Well, the average of the two are a little less.
A little less than $4 million. And then you authorize the offering of the property for not less than those appraised value, and notice of that effect would be given. And then you will accept offers. Now, the notice that offers the property is going to have in it certain requirements that anybody that wants the property do provide certain investment, provide certain jobs, etc., that are consistent with this deal, so that that it allows then for you to, after that period expires, transfer the property to the company for less than the appraised value, which is part of the commitment from the city to the company in exchange for their investment and job creation that they're committed to.
Do I interpret your remarks to mean that there will be certain benchmarks set before the transfer takes place?
Is part of the transfer, part of the purchase and sale agreement, there's certain benchmarks that they've committed to make upon receipt of the property. So they've agreed to create at least 309 jobs within 5 years. And if they don't, as the mayor described, they have to pay back a portion of the value of the building. So for example, if they were to only create 2/3 of those jobs, they'd have to give us back 1/3 of the roughly $4 million appraised value of the building. So it's those kind of commitments that the city feels are appropriate consideration for providing the incentive of the building.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Are you ready to act on resolution 2013-202?
I move that we adopt.
Okay.
I
Mayor
second.
Carol second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So, 2002 is adopted.
That's all I have this evening.
Okay,
And that's all we need to do right at this point now.
That's right.
Okay.
Can we get, a couple signed copies of each of the resolutions?
All right.
you want them to sign them tonight?
Yeah, if they would while they're all here, that'd be
Okay, if you wanna make them available here,
sure.
Or
Julie has some.
if you'll pass my gavel back, I'll take charge of the meeting. Yes, what we're going to do, I need to speak to Rick just a minute. I need your copy of the purchase agreement.
They've
Mr.
already,
Creed.
I've got
You-
those. Tom will bring
Tom
them.
said he had his in the car. And I'm gonna adjourn for about 10 minutes. We've got some other city business, but before we do that, Mel, I wanna be sure. Is everybody okay with, can't change it, it's already a done deal, but if there's any question, it's better to ask it here than on the street tomorrow morning. And we have the experts. I have Rick here, I have Gary here, with the TIF. I have John Baker here, who has been in this up to his hips. Is there any, I see some economic development people here, are there any questions? We scaled this period of time that you're gonna go through, and the due diligence period should come together about like this, if everything works out the way we've got it planned. That'll give you time to run through all the things, take it to area planning, do all the things you need to do, back to city council, back to you, have your public hearing, have your period of waiting, and that'll give the company time to do their due diligence. Okay? So with that, you just need their signatures at this time, or do you need, because we'll be here.
Well, yeah, just if you, yeah, just sign them in your normal course.
Okay.
So while they're here, let's go ahead and get them.
So am I authorized now to sign the purchase agreement?
You are authorized to sign the purchase agreement.
We'll take a break for about 10 minutes, and you guys get the signatures, and then we'll come back. Anybody else needs a potty break?
You got the chair back.
Yeah, I can't see over
Come to
the,
order, please.
One of them.
Council and Board of Works, please. We had another item of business I sent out to you in your packets. Again, it's a joint thing, and I want to start out by asking, is Phil? He's on his way in?
Outside the parking lot.
Okay, we'll wait just a few minutes. I want to read these things in chronological order. Street Superintendent?
He's
Street.
talking.
Hey, Joe, where's Phil? He said he's out around the building. Get him in here. In the meantime, council, I'll do a little song and dance. Thank you so much for all the extra effort tonight. I really think that we're starting in the right direction, and what a great time to start right here before our bicentennial. Yes,
Rick's got a surprise outside.
Rick's got a surprise outside. There's Phil.
I mean, Troy does, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Troy.
Troy does. No,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Phil,
Whatever
you're-
your name
Phil,
is.
You're first on the agenda, Phil. You'll read your letter.
Did you forget your glasses?
Come on up, Bill.
Just wing it, Phil. You don't have to read anything.
See, these are here too.
Just
Are
wing
they
it.
just
Phil.
magnifying glasses?
Yeah.
He gets his down at the 10-cent store.
Walmart, Fort Bears. How's that?
Phil is our chief mechanic. Phil is our chief mechanic over at the garage, and we've been suffering with the fire truck, and I always identify it, the one with the white top. It's a 1979 refurbished, and they made it a 2000. All they did was change the cab, basically. And Phil has fussed with that thing and fussed with it, so Phil is going to give you his opinion tonight. Phil?
So does everybody have this?
No, they don't. They don't have it.
I think so.
No, we did. No, we did.
yeah, they have in the packet.
I don't have it.
Yeah. Well, you didn't get a vote.
I don't.
Share with Mark.
Want me to hold it for you?
No, I'm good. Everybody's got it? Find it, Lenny?
No, but I'll, go.
Have all of you read it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So where do we want to start out here with this? You just want to go all the way back to the beginning? Okay. So we've been talking about a truck for quite some time. So we've got the truck that you applied for a grant for, and which we didn't get. So left us wondering how we were going to replace this truck. It was a 1980 Ford that we had refurbished in 2000. We've had issues with it. Was actually a pretty nice truck originally until after the refurbished, and it's been nothing but a problem since then. We've actually sent it back once, tried to make them take care of some of the issues that it had. The first year we had it, it wouldn't pass the pump test because it overheated, which was one of the things we sent it back for, made them take care of it. Second year wouldn't pass the pump test because the pumps were bad, which was part of what I wanted to talk to you about, because actually the biggest part of the truck is still the old truck. It's still the 1980 truck. Basically all we got was a new cab out of the whole deal. The rest of the truck, it was untouched, other than we just swapped it from one truck to another. So basically we still have a 1980 truck, a 33-year-old truck. So we've been looking at a truck, and then we've had some other issues with it here recently, and then I was pushing Troy about, you know, if we're gonna do something, fine. If we're not, I need to be doing some work to it. You know, don't wanna spend money on it if we're thinking about getting rid of it, so. And then meanwhile, the transmission went out of it, so that's kind of where we're at with it right now. Anything you wanna add, or?
What I did is I asked Phil's fussed with this truck, and we've tried to keep it limping along. And as he said, and I don't know the figures because I wasn't here, Julie wasn't here, but I'm told that they spent about $150,000 to refurbish the truck. At that time, for $200,000, $210,000, they could have bought a new truck. No point crying over spilt milk, what took place years ago. We have got a lot of years of service out of it, even if it's been rough on Phil and the garage. But at this point, Phil tells me a real emergency exists. And an example of that is, this morning we had a house fire where a fan got on fire, burning through the ceiling. And we have a fire truck way up in the north end, we got a fire truck way over there, and we don't have a pumper downtown that we can respond quickly. We have the schools, we have the high school, we're close to the nursing homes down here, car fires and this kind of stuff. You need that truck. That's the truck they depend on for all that kind of stuff. You know, the great big 104-foot ladder truck is just great, but you can't take it out when just for a car fire. It's cumbersome, and it's hard on the tires, and wears the truck out. So we have an emergency as far as I'm concerned. Phil tells me we have an emergency. So I've asked the members of the fire department. I have the union president here. Would you like to speak on behalf of the men? Thanks, Phil. Hold on, because they may ask questions about that truck that I can't answer. It's on blocks over there at the city garage now, if you'd like to see it. Has been for about a week.
So no steps have been taken to repair it
Well,
yet?
actually, we did go ahead and pull the transmission on because we were getting ready to fix it, but, like I said, we were looking at a truck, so do we wanna
Okay.
spend any money
All
on
right.
the old one, or are we gonna go ahead and buy the new
Okay.
truck?
The problem with this,
Okay,
Gary, is
Thank you.
you can go on eBay and buy a fire truck like we were talking about for $1,000 because it's a 1980. And why would we go and put $8,000 to $10,000 into that truck this time, and
Right.
just to have troubles down the road? But this is your union president. I asked him to, on behalf of the men, to comment. So, Mr. Jones?
For those of you that don't know me, my name's Scott Jones. I'm the president of the firefighters union. Troy came to me and asked me to basically, you know, draw up a letter to kind of give you guys a rundown of the discussions that our safety committee members have had in the recent months over, you know, the issues with the trucks downtown and how they run. And basically, we got a ladder truck downtown, and we've got that engine that recently broke down. This letter basically kind of gives you just a brief summary of the discussions that myself, pretty much all the guys, the two safety committee members we have. And when I say safety committee, I'm talking about our guys, because the safety committee as a whole involves us and Mr. Coldiron and the mayor. But basically, I'll read this, if you want me to read this letter.
Yeah,
Okay. City of Connersville Mayor and City Council members, due to the recurring problems with Engine 1, it has been brought to our attention the need to recall recent discussions of the union's safety committee involving the usage of trucks at Station 1. A few recent incidents and the overall wear and tear of Ladder 1 have been discussed as the reasoning for the chief's office to change the response protocol for Station 1. Until recently, Ladder 1 would automatically respond on all truck runs, including structure fires, gas smell in structure, smoke in a structure, and general fire alarms. Basically, the ladder truck would go on everything that normally the engine would go on. Let's see.
One might think that the ladder.
Okay. One might think that Ladder 1 would not initially be needed for all these calls. For those that can't remember, Ladder 1 replaced Snorkel 1. Snorkel 1 would only respond on calls that included high-rise buildings, apartment buildings, schools, and shopping centers. After we got the new ladder truck and after training on it, we realized how much more modern the equipment was, and it was decided that the new ladder truck was heavily needed on all fire scenes due to the necessity of all equipment that it came with. As I stated before, Ladder 1 is starting to show some wear and tear and was decided by the chief's office to only respond on runs similar to the old response protocols of the Snorkel truck, which means it would only go on certain calls when, we were using the ladder truck all the time.
This discussion had much.
This discussion was discussed among all of our members of the department, along with our safety committee members. While most members agreed that the ladder truck should only be used when needed in order to prolong the life of the truck, others argued that the modern equipment and the reliability of the truck were desperately needed on all fire scenes. Engine 1, the engine that broke down, lacks the amount of equipment and reliability that today's new trucks have, obviously. While the new response protocols intend to prolong the life of Ladder 1, it has also put an undue amount of strain on Engine 1. A newer and more modern replacement for Engine 1 would not only prevent the added wear and tear of Ladder 1, but would also benefit the safety of the citizens of Connersville by allowing the firefighters to perform their duties more quickly and efficiently. And that letter was signed by myself and our two safety committee members. So basically, we feel like, the ladder truck was starting to get, more use than what it should. So we tried to, put some more of the weight back on that engine and make that engine run, on more runs. And, I think our worst fears finally came true, and the truck's just breaking down. So.
Fire chief, you have a letter?
Yeah, I'm gonna skip off from my letter though. I'm gonna start off with what we've been doing. We apply for a FEMA grant every year for fire trucks. Every year we ask for a truck. And I think I went over with you, why this truck wouldn't be eligible, because it was titled as a 2000, which is the, NFPA standard on the refurbishing of a truck. Each year, we have a truck committee. It's myself, John Rowland, and Chris Gettinger. And we look at trucks to see about what we're going to apply for and what we're going to try to get accomplished with the truck, hopefully to get one replaced. And we kept getting rejected on this one because of its age. We also go to the fire truck show and the instructors conference up at FDIC. Well, we looked at multiple engines and just looked for what would last us a 20 to 25 year period, which manufacturers we thought suited us the best, and to get that goal of a 20 to 25 year truck. And we took Phil with us this year. We wasn't looking to have this problem, but this was our fear that this could happen. And when this kind of came about, we also looked in, we asked where we narrowed it down to 3 manufacturers. We asked them if they had a demo program, like when you buy a demonstrator car. How can we save the most money? Well, the most financial advantage of buying a truck was to go with the demonstrator, and that's where we're at tonight with the demonstrator.
Okay. If you look in your packet, you have a letter from Dale Munson. I asked Dale, what happens? We try to run the first aid unit with 4 people. We try to do that on it should be inside your. Okay, you want to pass it out? Okay, let me read it to you. As commander of the, and let me preface this by saying, Dale's department depends on the fire department to assist when we have an emergency, like when we had the spill out there, or when we have big things, and sometimes we only have 3 people at the first aid unit, which leaves us with a driver. We have to depend on the fire department to help us complete that trip. And sometimes, and I've watched them work on one of our own city people out here, those of us in the office, when you give CPR to somebody for 10, 12 minutes, you're wore out. And then, so we've been having the fire department, well, we don't want to take a 104-foot ladder truck to assist. So we've been using that, I call the white top truck, the pumper. Every year, as Troy said, since I've been here, we've gone after a grant trying to get a new fire truck, because I knew it was 30 years old. We knew it was failing. We knew it was not doing the job. In Dale's letter here, he reiterates that the fire department is much needed. They need this bumper so they can respond to help him when he needs help and when he's short-handed. With all of that, I have put a letter in your packet. By the authority of the state of Indiana, I have the right to come to you and tell you that in your city that you control, there is an emergency at this time. And I'm saying that a bumper in the mid-station downtown, which is relatively close to the hospital, and as was an example this morning, when we had a fire run, we should have had that fire truck right there on the spot. We have 2 fire trucks, one way over there and one way up there, and then we have the big ladder truck down here. That is very important. That's the truck that does all the main things. And the majority of your population is right in this circle, if you would draw a circle around here. We're pretty well protected in the north end, we're pretty well protected over in the east, but the center of town, and down below this hill, especially in the wintertime, you need that truck. And so I'm telling you today that I went over and looked at the truck. He's got it up on blocks. It's got so many things wrong with it. It would be foolish for this city to put that kind of money into a truck, and if we put it on eBay, might bring $1,000 to somebody that collects fire trucks. It doesn't run in reverse right now. It doesn't run in high gear right now. And the tires are wore out, and I told Phil, don't buy any tires for it, it won't run anyway. And we knew this was coming. That's why we kept looking for a grant. So the fire chief and Mr. Baker have come up with a proposal that the IC code allows us to declare an emergency, which that's what I'm declaring to you tonight, which allows us to go out and buy a fire truck without going through the procedure, taking bids and going through all this. And if you just think about it, when 911 happened, you remember the fire trucks in New York that got destroyed when the buildings fell down? Well, they couldn't go through a procedure of 3 or 4 months taking bids and looking at fire trucks. They had to go buy fire trucks because they had fires. Well, we're in that position tonight. We need to get a fire truck down there, and I'm especially concerned with the bicentennial. I'd like to have that new fire truck down there by Friday. So Troy has gone out to the companies, found some demonstrators. We have one outside here tonight. This is the one out of the 3 demonstrators that are available. Not a used truck, it's a new truck. It's got, what, 600 miles on it?
9,000.
9,000 miles on it. But we can buy it, how much cheaper?
About $25,000 cheaper.
And it's a 2012. This is an E1.
Yeah,
This is what the Fire Department Safety Committee says they want, because it's lower to the ground. They give me a lot of reasons. And I tell them I'm a mayor, not a fireman. I don't know anything about it. I wouldn't want you guys buying me an embalming machine, and I don't want to buy a fire truck for the fire department. I want them to have what they think they need. So tonight we brought this problem to you in resolution form by the Board of Works. You could resolve to buy the new truck in ordinance form. I asked the clerk treasurer to work up some lease purchase plan where we could make this happen quickly, and I'll turn it over to her.
Well, Troy worked with the company, there's a company that what's it called?
Yeah, emergency.
That they work with, and they gave us some lease options. Theirs are 10-year leases. The interest rate on their leases are 3.69 to 3.75, depending on when you have your first payment due. I've worked with Fifth Third Bank. That's who we did our lease through for the new trash truck. I contacted the guy there that I worked with last year. We can get a 5-year lease there at 2.15, or a 7-year lease at 2.45. If we make the first payment this year, in November of this year, the payments on a 5-year lease for this truck would be $64,150, or on a 7-year lease would be $47,225. And you know, obviously, you're gonna save quite a bit of interest by going with a shorter lease.
Interest rate's fixed, right?
Pardon me, fixed rate, yes. And those rates are not locked in. He said they've been fluctuating a lot. He's giving me his best estimate at this point in time, would be in that area.
The 2.15 is not locked in, Julie.
No, I couldn't lock anything
Because we don't have a
in.
purchase
Although I
price,
don't have a- I
So
have a
it's a floater
purchase.
than what you've got,
and
basically.
we don't have a time.
It will be locked once the deal's made.
Once I tell him, I could
Oh,
call him
okay, I'm
tomorrow
sorry.
and tell
Okay,
him.
that's
It's not today.
You-
Okay.
Is that 2.45?
Mm-hmm. Two point
That's
four
on
five
7
for a
years.
7-year, Nancy. 2.15 for a 5-year.
That was 47.
On the 7, yes, 47,000.
Julie, are you gonna do the resolution with Board of Public Works first? and
Yes,
then
but
bring
what
it
I
to
wanna
us?
do before we do anything, I wanna recess again. I want you to go out on the parking lot, is it over here?
Yep.
We've had them, the truck was in Columbus, Ohio, I asked them to bring it out here. We're only gonna take 10, 15 minutes, but I think if you're gonna purchase something of this magnitude, I think you should go out there and look at it. So,
What is-
John, is that gonna mess you up?
What is the price?
300 and, what is it, Troy? 305, 275.
Okay, thanks.
That's a good price, I can tell you that. We've been pricing fire trucks and we've been looking at grants, and we were more in the 350 brackets.
Mayor, do you want me to explain this resolution?
Yeah,
on
hold
ordinance?
on just a minute. We're getting ahead of ourselves. As I said, the state allows you through the IC code to do this, and he's gonna explain what we have to do if we do it, but I don't want you to do it till you look at the fire truck.
Yeah, I'll sort of paraphrase it. I drew a resolution for the Board of Works and an ordinance for the city council that mirror each other, basically, and they make certain findings that are necessary in order to show that an emergency exists. And the first whereas, it says the pumper fire truck located at Fire Station 1 in the city of Connersville is out of commission due to mechanical defects, including the transmission that has been in the garage repeatedly over the past 3 months. And whereas the mechanic that is responsible for the maintenance of the pumper fire truck has advised the Board of Public Works and Safety and the Common Council that the pumper fire truck is not worth repairing, cannot be permanently repaired, and should be replaced immediately with a newer model. And I think you heard that tonight. And whereas the fire chief of the city of Connersville and the commander of the Fayette County EMS have advised that without an operating pumper fire truck at Fire Station 1, that an emergency exists which is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Connersville, Indiana. And whereas Indiana Code 5-22-10-4 provides that the city may make a special purchase where there exists, under emergency conditions, a threat to the public health, welfare, or safety of the citizens without soliciting bids or quotes. And even further, Indiana Code 5-22-10-5 provides that the city may make a special purchase where there exists a unique opportunity to obtain supplies at a substantial savings to the city by the lease purchase or purchase of a used pumper fire truck or demonstrator pumper fire truck with mileage. And then the ordained is the for the ordinance. The Common Council states that pursuant to 5-22-10-4, the Common Council of the City of Connersville now determines, based upon the above findings, that an emergency exists which is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Connersville due to the lack of an operable pumper fire truck at Fire Station 1, and further determines that there's a savings advantage. The Common Council authorizes the immediate lease purchase or purchase of a used pumper fire truck or demonstrator pumper fire truck with mileage without soliciting bids or quotes. And then, of course, the resolution from the Board of Works requests the Common Council to authorize the immediate lease purchase accept. So that pretty well covers it.
Before we do that, John, I'd like for you to speak. You've been with this truck ever since it was born, haven't you? Yeah.
Yep.
Would you speak about it?
Good evening, I'm Battalion Chief John Rowland, Cartersville Fire Department. I've been there almost 30 years now, so I've seen a lot of apparatus come and go, and this is probably my fourth time being on a member of apparatus purchasing. This is kind of unique because always in the past, the last one we had a grant. We were so fortunate for that, and we should really be grateful for that. Other than the past, you know, we had monies that to be able to do it. In this day and age, our city just really doesn't have the money, you know, but the unfortunate thing, we still have to run our departments. And like the mayor said earlier, we've been on this truck on these trucks for quite a long time, trying to get a grant, which we all know about the federal government and everything like that, and how that's happened, so that's kind of dried up a little bit. So we had to make our gears a little bit different and see what we can do. And actually what we did was went with like a demonstrator truck. You know, it's like a brand new truck. It's just been out on the road a little bit showing the apparatus and things like that. And we looked at quite a few of them. Even myself, you know, I drove every one of them. We worked off of them. And we kind of narrowed it down, price naturally. You know, at the Connersville Fire Department, all of us get it. We understand that this economic times, we can't go out with our hand and say, hey, we need more money. We can't do that. You know, we went with part-time firefighters. We kind of helped the city a little bit like that. And now all of a sudden with, you know, the fire truck out there, Phil has did a tremendous job, like he always has, keeping our equipment in Connersville good. And so the long process has kind of went tonight. And, you know, I hope we can make an agreement on the truck, because if we don't, you know, we're back to, like the mayor said, and I think all of you have probably seen our truck, it's not really worth putting the money into, no matter what you do. You know, a truck of that age, it's already been refurbed, it probably should have never been, and you're just really throwing money into something that's going to, you know, it's going to grenade itself one time or another. You know, the transmission's out of it right now, you know, it needs new tires, things of that nature. I, for one, I know because I'm in charge of the fire scenes, we've had on multiple occasions where the trucks have, you know, had issues on the fire scene. The number one thing on a fire truck that you have to make sure is life safety. If that truck doesn't perform, it's not very good. It will not work. My men, the citizens of Connersville, if it doesn't work on a fire scene, you know, it's no good for anything. And unfortunately, that truck is coming to the point where that is. Even though we have probably one of the top-notch mechanic in the state, he can only do so much. His hands tied. But in long and short, this is it. You know, this is where we're at tonight on this deal. And the mayor and you guys go out there and look at this truck, and hopefully we can make something about it. But it's not something that we just all of a sudden said, hey, we need a fire truck, and it went from that. This has been a long, drawn-out deal. We have worked quite a few hours to get to this point, and like I said, we do appreciate every one of you guys thinking about this, because we know how tight money is. We really get it. And we would not be here if we didn't have to. I guarantee you that. So,
Thank you. Mr. Gettinger, did you want to speak? Ripper.
Yeah, I'm just on the safety committee with Scott and stuff, and again, we'd talked several times, probably in the last year, on that truck. I've operated off of it. Again, John said several situations, house fires and stuff, always having, it ain't always something big, transmission, but the lights, the water level goes out, you don't know how much water you got, it's just continuous. And again, Phil does an outstanding job. I mean, with everything he's got to work with, and he seems to jump on our stuff pretty good, and you know, things, you keep going, and I've been on 13 years now, and ever since you come on, you can just see that truck progressively going down. Again, the ladder truck is great, but we've been trying to hold it off, you know, hold the ladder truck so it'll last as long as we can. But yet it's getting a little wear, so we started using the engine again on some of the stuff we didn't have to use a ladder for. Well, now it's, you know, you run it more, things happen. So, again, like I said, John said, you know, they've worked hard on different trucks. They've looked at all kinds of different manufacturers, and they've brought different trucks down. We've all drove them and looked at them, and it just so happens in the last week here is it finally done its thing. So
We'll look at that truck, and then we'll let the E1 man speak. So, John, is it okay if we break here? The council and Board of Works will come on back to order at the second sound of the gavel. Let's go out and look at that fire truck. We'll call the city council and the board of works joint meeting together. Roy?
I would like to say that of the 3 demos that we did look at hard this week, this was the one we could negotiate, and this is the lowest bid of the 3. Also, with it suiting what the specs that we wanted to have also. So it met the specs and was the lowest.
Fire chief told me they wanted foam on this truck, which will be put on at a later date, included in the price. They like this truck for many reasons.
Excuse me.
Also, while we were outside doing a little negotiating, I talked with, and I told him, we never buy anything. Dave Thomas, that's head of Wendy's, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, he
I
was.
told him, I can't buy anything in this city because I have a reputation of getting a deal. And he said, well, we can't put the lettering on. He said, you guys know. I said, you gotta put the lettering on. He's gonna put LED lights on the back end because then we don't have to have a generator. John says those lights are as bright as anything you can put on. And he's gonna letter the truck, and he's also going to put shelves and hose rack in the compartments. Right? That's what the firemen need. What else can I talk him into? You got, you see, if you were here earlier in the meeting, it was called an incentive package. And we're talking about that incentive package here to get this deal done tonight. You know, I come from Upper Michigan, 140 miles from the Pierce plant. And I've always been a Pierce fire truck buff, and I told the fire chief the other day, I said, have you looked at Pierce? He said, yeah, but we kind of get a better deal on this E1 truck, and it's lower to the ground. Well, that tells me they're getting old and short-legged. You know. But gosh, with those incentives you're throwing in now, anything else you want to throw in before I?
Do you have a place to put a golf cart on the back?
Oh, no.
Lettering,
What'd you say?
I don't think there is anything else, is there?
Okay, what he would do with the foam is included in the price. He's going to take it to back, and I made a state, Columbus, Ohio, it's Columbus, Indiana. He's going to take it back, he's going to letter it the way the fire department wants it lettered, with the city seal and 911 and
Cool.
pumper 1, is that what you're going to call it? Or what do you call it? Engine 1, okay. And get it done, and he'll have it over here by Friday, so we'll have a fire truck, a nice one for the bicentennial. Then they'll come and get it later and add the foam thing to it, all included in the price, with the LED lights.
Do we have to pay for it by then?
When do we pay for it? Long about March or April? When I forgot.
I guess we need to talk to the banker and.
Yeah, I'm not sure
You're
we can have
talking
that
to her right
ready by
there.
Friday, but
So we'll get
we
it
can
done.
try.
Okay. If it's a demonstrator, just we'll be demonstrating here or someplace else. Phil, you got a nice smile tonight. You know you don't have to work on that old junker no more, don't you? Okay, first order of business will be the Board of Works to pass their resolution if they'd like to do so. Board of Works, you're on deck.
Mayor, I'd like to propose a motion to pass, what's the resolution number here?
2013-30.
2013-30 on the purchase of the new fire truck. Also, I might add, I asked E1 also about the warranties. I know it had 9,000 miles on it, and the warranties start from the sale date.
And what are those warranties?
It's all delayed, it's a delayed warranty start. I fill out some paperwork whenever I deliver it.
So 100,000 miles in 10 years, is that it? Or?
I've not seen that done.
Anything's possible, right?
It is possible.
What is the warranty really?
It's, you have, the engine is 5-year, 100,000 mile, transmission is 5-year, 100,000. The body and the cab is 10-year, 100,000 mile on structural, and corrosion. The, paint is a 10-year prorated. The plumbing is 10-year, it's all stainless steel. Pump, 3 years on the hand pump. I believe that's it.
That sounds
A
like-
1 year, and then there's of course a 1-year bumper that covers anything.
And all that starts now.
It all
We don't
starts the
consider
day.
the 9,000 miles at all.
It's just like it's zero.
Okay.
Before it's second, Your Honor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
What is your estimated lifetime of this truck?
30 years.
I would say, I would say a 25 to 30-year life expectancy out of an engine today is pretty much the standard. I think it's fair.
Thank you.
You know, in larger cities that do run the 100,000 miles in 10 years, you know, they probably don't make it that long, but I would think a city this size, you should be able to achieve that fairly easily.
And this truck doesn't have the Cummins where we have to put the urea in. This has got an international diesel in it. It's, what horsepower is it?
350.
350. So we don't have to worry about that, and that's a good savings, right, Phil? We don't want to mess with that.
I have a question. Are we going to vote on the 5-year at $64,150? What are we voting on?
I think we'll take this, number one, let the Board of Works decide if they want to throw it to the council, and then you guys could decide how to finance it.
I'll second the motion.
You've got a motion on the floor by Ron,
Yes.
and a second, that we adopt this resolution asking the council to consider this new truck and figure out how to pay for it. Board of Works, any further questions? Anybody out there have any questions? Okay, roll call vote.
Fran Schaumel.
Yes.
Leonard Urban.
Yes.
Ron Coldiron.
Yes.
Mike Bishop.
Yes, please.
You have passed resolution 2013-30 unanimous, and I would ask you to stay afterward and sign it. Now, council, the Board of Works met today, and they would like you to consider figuring out how to finance and to purchase this new truck which you just looked at. Councilman Tom.
I talked to Phil Friday, and I'm fortunate enough, I talk to Phil weekly due to my job, and he told me that he just can't wire this thing anymore together. I talked to Fire Chief Troy Tipton when we had our break, talked to Battalion Chief John Rowland, and they really recommend this truck, and I think it would be a good idea. So, and as far as financing, my suggestion, whatever Julie Greason's thought on the most advantageous financial arrangement, that's what I think we should go with.
Are you putting that in the form of a motion, or are you?
If you would like a motion, I
Yeah,
would,
we'll
unless
take
other
motion,
council people
because we'll
would
have
like to.
discussion afterward if you want to put that.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we pass pending ordinance 3029.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
Is this just, we're making a motion to purchase the truck, correct?
And giving Julie the authority to do it in the most advantageous way to the city, which would mean the lowest interest rate.
Okay.
And I've got Debbie seconding the motion. Now, we can open this for discussion. We're open for discussion.
Do it.
Who's
I got
first?
a
Dave, Gabe?
I know we've talked about in past meetings about also the potential need for an ambulance in the very near future. So Phil, can you tell us about where that's at? Like, is the ambulance going to be?
Is it okay for me?
Oh, sure.
Well,
Come on to the platform, Phil.
well, we're still, the last time I talked to Dale about it, we're still in the,
We are.
we're still in the running for a grant.
For a grant.
So we're just kind of holding off for that for the time being.
Is it running okay? Is it breaking down all the time?
Well, we did have trouble with it again
Last week.
but I fixed it again, put it back on the road.
Same problems as it has been having?
It wasn't the same exact problem, but it was another engine problem with the 6-liter Ford, so, I mean.
This is something we absolutely are gonna face if we don't get the grant. But we are lucky there because we got the county commissioners in there with us. But we are gonna face that, there's just no doubt. If we don't get a grant, we're gonna have to face buying an ambulance. Do you have any question other for Phil? It was only in the garage a week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to tear the whole cab off. This time he was able to fix it up. I tried to get E1 to throw an ambulance in with it, but they don't make them.
I do sell ambulances.
I heard that. I don't know, after the deal you give us on this fire truck, I don't know if I can consider an ambulance. Sure, there's no more incentives.
I was waiting for him to say, can you throw
Huh?
ambulances?
Do they have demo ambulances?
You got any demo ambulances?
I do, I actually have about 3.
What'd you ask that for?
All
That was a loaded question.
And I suppose they got a 604 engine in them.
Not anymore, we don't do 6-liter Fords.
You learned your lesson. Okay, we're back on subject, I'm sorry, we gotta have a little fun with these meetings. We have a motion on the floor that we purchase this demonstrator fire truck on the process that John described to you, because an emergency exists. I don't think there's any doubt that an emergency exists. And we have a motion. Is there any further discussion, any questions? You comfortable with this new truck, International, working on it, everything, Phil? Okay. If you're ready for the question, we'll have a roll call vote.
Is it okay if I ask a question?
Yes, oh yes.
And obviously Gabe's got, excuse me, Mr. Navi's got it.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, what was it you were looking for exactly?
I just know that's out there, that we might have to look at that, so,
Look at that also.
yeah, we just gotta be thinking about that as well.
I mean, we just, our fingers crossed that
Hopefully.
grant's gonna come through, so.
We'll have a roll call vote.
Councilman Shomel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rish,
Yes.
Councilman Nabi,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilman Creech,
Yes.
Councilwoman Stevens,
Yes.
Councilman Weber,
Yes.
You have voted unanimously to purchase this fire truck. We will proceed to do it just as you told us, and Julie will do it. Huh?
It's an ordinance.
Yeah, we gotta vote 3 times.
Yeah, it's an ordinance,
Now 2.5 times. I'm sorry, I get out of hand when we're off on, we're on a special meeting. Would you like to suspend the rules and continue and consider it on third and final reading? Got a motion from Gabe and a second from Connie that we suspend the rules and consider this ordinance on third and final reading. On suspension of rules only, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? None opposing, we can proceed with third and final reading on ordinance, pending ordinance 3029 to purchase the new fire truck. Got a motion and a second. Nancy and Gabe, you up with us?
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion? This is your last chance. Roll call vote.
Councilwoman Rish,
Yes.
Councilman Nabi,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilman Creech,
Yes.
Councilwoman Stevens,
Yes.
Councilman Weber,
Yes.
Councilman Shomel,
Yes.
You have voted unanimously on third and final reading, so I will sign this, and it will become ordinance number 6089. We will buy that fire truck out there, and using our best financing available, and the fire chief and the clerk treasurer will work with you. And you get it back to Columbus, Indiana, get the lettering on it, get the shelves in it, the lights on it, get it back up here by Friday. Boy, you're easy. I should ask for more.
I'm sure that's something you want.
We only asked for two items of business at this special meeting tonight, and both items of business, I really appreciate it. I think you've done a great job. I know you have to work twice as much as you're supposed to. Appreciate all of you being here, and I would take a motion to,
Your Honor, one quick thing. I've had several people comment what a wonderful job John Palsy did with the soapbox derby event. I thank John and all the people that helped him with that. Thank you.
well, let me tell you, this morning, I was down there with John the whole time he ran his soapbox, and I went up down the hill several times because I had to give those awards, and I was looking at those cards. And there was a little guy down there with headphones on in a white tent. His name's Schomel. And he was photographing this race. So this morning at about 8 o'clock, I said to John, I said, well, how much of the race did Fran Schomel do? He said, all day, both days. Do you know how hot it was in that little tent with those earphones on? That man filmed the entire race, every kid. That's going to be in our vault. That's going to be a part of our history.
That's why he makes the big bucks.
That's right.
He got,
Right,
yeah.
right.
I think if you're going to give anybody a hand. Now, let me tell you one other thing. Brand, can we take you home? After he sat there all day in 98-degree sun, he said, no, I'll walk. And he walks home. Let's give Fran a hand.
I appreciate that, but John has the task now of chopping 15 hours down to probably 6, so lots of luck.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
76, if I'm right,
Yes.
kids in our community enjoyed that weekend, and I wanna tell you, they enjoyed it. I thank all you safety people who came out there and helped. We could've used you, Phil, cause several of them run through the hay bales. We had some pretty nice wrecks. I'll take a motion to adjourn if anybody. Got a motion to adjourn and a second by Connie. Don't forget, Friday is the bicentennial kickoff, 2 o'clock at the 4-H building. Senator Coates is gonna be there, Ms. Zipke's gonna be there, there's a lot of important people, some mayors from around the area. It's very important, and then we're gonna go down to the Canal House and have the opening ceremony at 6 o'clock. The laser light show at dark, there's gonna be music in the Presbyterian Church, music, I believe, up in the amphitheater, that kickoff. So, everybody's been working hard, everybody show up.
The music's over here.
The music's over in the park, yeah,
No, it's here. City parking lot.
city parking lot, yeah, okay. Yeah, they're gonna put a stage over there as soon as we get Thomas out there. Okay. I'm not in any hurry.
Flag raising?
Yeah? Oh, flag raising, Friday morning at 8 o'clock, and every morning during the 10 days, there's a flag raising. It would be nice, especially you firemen that are on duty, try to hit some of the flag raisings, it would be nice to have you there. I think they're gonna have the pledge and a flag raising, just to start the day. Policemen and some of you council people, kind of look at your schedule. This is the city celebration, they wanna see you. And don't forget, you're gonna ride on the float. Do we have a meeting before the float?
Yes.
I'll remind you then. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Motion carries.